I'm supposed to be the franchise player, and we're in here talking about practice. I mean, listen, we talking about practice. Not a game, not a game, not a game. We talking about practice. Not a game, not a game.
Me. Bam, bam. Me, man.
Not a game.
Slap that like she scored 30.
We talking about sports. I mean, what we even talking about, man? We talking about sports here.
Welcome back to We Talking About Sports, episode 41. And we got a familiar face back, and I believe he owes us a little shotgun of a beer for that Justin Rose thing.
Damn,
now, I got to ask you, you want to take care of that debt now or later when Roland's on?
Up
to you.
Later, I wasn't prepared. I just cracked the beer open when you said welcome. And we
got you off guard with it.
You did. I didn't know you were going to come from my neck right off the bat like that. Cause hey,
don't forget.
Honestly, looking back at that, man, I was just way too hype on that because I gave y'all the field. I gave you the other 70 golfers, and my dumb ass took Justin Rose, bro.
Not only that, he's the biggest choke artist. He always does this. Goes hot in the first round and then chokes it away.
Listen, I drink every podcast, so that was definitely a decision that was made under the influence, and it was a stupid decision. I also did say I didn't mind shotgunning, so we'll get to that later in the podcast.
Yeah, we'll do that later. But anyway, welcome back. Tell us about your time away. I heard you went to Vegas. I heard you had a good time. Give us a little information about that.
Yeah, man, we were out there for Alex's bachelor. Finally, it seems like fully recovered, but very, very little sleep over there, bro. Very little sleep. About 10 to 15 hours of sleep total in those 4 days. But we had a lot of fun. It was nice seeing a lot of people, from back in high school, me living now in New Braunfels. So when I do go to the Valley, I have those, really close friends that I hang out with when I do go, usually all the time. But here in Vegas, it was about 12 of us, and it was nice having the boys back together.
Get the band back together.
Yeah, we had some good nights, man. Nobody went to jail.
No hangover stuff.
A couple of people threw up, but that was expected. But that's about as bad as it got.
I gotta ask: were they babysitting you, or were you babysitting?
Hell nah. Bull deemed me the MVP of the trip. That's only Bull speaking. That's only Bull speaking. But I was there for mostly all the activities. And like I said, I slept the least because I tried staying around and being active with everything that was going on. We tended to lose people at times and shit. But yeah, man, it was fun.
That happens when we got a big group. People want to do different things. So
yeah, and that's expected, But for the dinners and we even went out there and golfed. For golf, it was supposed to be 8 of us, and it only ended up being 4 of us going out there. So it was a long night, and golf was early in the morning. But it was a good experience, man. I would definitely do it again. But hopefully another destination for whoever's next to tie the knot.
Gotcha. Well, let's get into this what if segment that we've been creating lately. And I think we got a good one, and a good what if. It's about sports, and it's about what if something were to happen that didn't happen in sports, kind of rewriting history. And today's topic is what if Kobe Bryant went to college?
Yeah,
I'll let you answer that one. What do you think happens?
Well, I mean, you're the big Kobe guy. I think that you should get the first go at it.
Well, first off, Kobe has said, and this is not a for sure, but he said it multiple times, it would have been Duke. He would have liked to have been part of that brotherhood, the Duke brotherhood, and he would have gone to that. But like researching Duke's team at the time, they didn't have the roster that the Dukes have of today or even of yesteryear. This was a more weaker roster. So I'm not completely 100% sold it would have been Duke, but he hasn't given us anything in the past to vocalize it would have been any other college. So it would have been Duke. Now, the draft would have been interesting because coming out of that draft, you had some big-time stars and future Hall of Famers of this class also, which is Tim Duncan. And unfortunately, you got like Chauncey Billups, who hasn't made it yet, but definitely deserves to be in there, in my personal opinion.
Right.
So, Kobe definitely falls into that top 3 category regardless in that draft. I just don't know exactly if he's 1 or 2 at that point because like you mentioned, Spurs had some players that played a similar role that Tim Duncan would have. So could they have used a guard? Maybe, but
And I'm pretty sure Kobe and Pop had a good relationship as well. Pop, like, even though those situations, like, Kobe goes to college, plays himself to the #1 draft pick the following year because, like we said, that draft class, there wasn't too many big names. Keith Van Horn was the #2 pick after Tim Duncan. So Kobe could have, if not gone one, gone two at least. But what interests me more is the team success that he would have had if he had gone to Duke, like you said, he had vocalized it. And Coach K is a coach that Kobe would like to be coached by. Like Kobe's very fundamental. He's all about the little things, and those are a lot of the same things that Coach K preaches. We've heard LeBron saying that he would have loved to play for Coach K in college as well. Maybe we'll see Bronny go to Duke and play for Coach K. But the team success, man, like that Duke roster that year, it was not good at all. It was a year before they got Elton Brand and Shane Battier, who did really well for Duke, but there's nothing on this roster. There's nothing on this roster at all. So Kobe would have been and these dudes went to the second round of the tournament and got bounced by Providence. They beat Murray State in the first round, this Duke team. So I'm sure Kobe would have given him a run in the tournament just, off the strength of him, because guards usually do dominate the tournament, and a guard like Kobe that could have gotten his own bucket whenever he wanted to, that would have been interesting to see. But that Duke team wasn't very good that year. And where would he have landed? Let's say he does have to go to college, and then he goes in the same draft as Tim Duncan. So Tim Duncan goes 1 to the Spurs, and then Kobe probably goes 2. Who would he have landed with? Who had the #2 pick that year?
Would have been Philly, which would have been a pretty good story because that's where he played his basketball in.
He would have been a Sixer.
That would have been a storyline in itself. He'd have been a Sixer. Now, does he get those championships that he gets with the Lakers at the Sixers? I don't know.
True. Yeah, the Lakers were, and I mean, he was even traded for on draft night, right? The year that he got drafted.
Yeah, he originally got drafted to the Hornets, and there was a trade.
What pick was that?
I think it was 11.
Dang! So he was
check it through. It was 13. He got picked at 13.
13, and then traded to the Lakers. Yeah. Around the range Kawhi got picked, no?
Yeah. So just to give you some of that Spurs information, their shooting guards at the time are Jaren Jackson and Vinny Del Negro.
Vinny!
Yeah, both dudes under 6'5". So, I mean, you already have, like you mentioned before, David Robinson playing that center forward position as well.
Kobe and the Admiral instead of Kobe and Shaq, or what?
It would have been interesting. It could have been
nice.
I'm glad the way it played out, regardless, because obviously I'm a Laker fan and we got our ships with Kobe,
and it worked out for the Spurs as well. They got
and it worked out for them too. It was a great thing. But man, it would have been interesting.
Kobe's career and Tim Duncan's career do get compared at times, which is crazy because they were that far apart from being in the same draft. I know it is different positions, but as far as career, we know how good Tim Duncan was for the Spurs, and he's arguably the best power forward to ever play the game.
Even an argument, though?
Well, exactly. So it might not even be an argument. So there's people that could say, there was that argument, me knowing a lot of Spurs fans, a lot of Lakers fans being in the Valley. I've heard that argument on several occasions, but crazy how close, how that could have been. And, the Spurs might have had to make that decision.
The argument I meant is Tim Duncan not the best power forward? I mean,
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I don't think there's an argument for that case, in my opinion.
No, there isn't. Yeah.
But, I mean, let's just plug Kobe into that Spurs roster. Does Kobe go out and get 5 there?
I don't know about 5. I don't know. I mean, are the Lakers like really, really good right off the bat? With Kobe having a year in college.
No, they weren't
NBA
bad,
ready.
But he doesn't start right away. You got Eddie Jones starting in front of him at the time.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know. It would have been nice seeing Greg Popovich coach Kobe, though. I know that would have been a treat to see.
You know what the funny part also is just some of the hate that Spurs fans have for Kobe, and it would have been love for him instead at this point.
Shit, it's like the hate that Lakers fans had for LeBron, and now the love that they have for him.
Hey,
I think that's what.
When did the Lakers fans hate LeBron? I never understood that. I don't remember that.
Come on, fam. Lakers fans.
I never hated LeBron.
Okay, maybe not you, but most Lakers fans hated LeBron before because he was winning everything. That's why.
He had 3 championships? What was he winning?
Oh, I mean, I guess if 3 championships isn't anything, and he was in the championship.
That's not anything, but I'm just saying in the championship. Like if it was a rival of ours, it wasn't.
No, I mean, no, because y'all weren't in the playoffs the whole time that he was.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't hate him. If anything, in 2008, we were pushing for that matchup. Nike made the commercials. I still got the shirt with the what's his name, the little kid. Kobe and LeBron were babysitting him. You remember the whole campaign?
Yeah, but we can't act like Lakers fans didn't. I have like
I'm on Laker Twitter and I don't see that. I didn't see that.
Well, then maybe it's just a lot of people hated LeBron before he became a Laker.
Now that's a real thing. People just hate LeBron.
Okay, so then maybe it wasn't Lakers driven. It wasn't rivalry driven.
He's in the East. I mean, it wasn't.
It just seemed that a lot of the people that hated LeBron were Lakers fans that I know, at least. Like I could name you more than 10.
Maybe just because it was coming at his legacy and people didn't want to get rid of
and they compared
being above him.
And they compared them a lot too. So that is a reason why a lot of Kobe fans didn't like LeBron.
I agree.
And Kobe fans are Laker fans. So that's kind of where it ties in. So, but now, I mean, he's their king. A lot of these guys, they have a new king, and it's King James.
Yeah. Hey, so just speaking of Lakers Twitter, I don't know if you saw the dramatics this week.
What happened?
I don't know if you're really part of this side of the Twitter sphere.
What happened?
But so there's a prominent Lakers podcaster that goes by the name Vivian, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she has a podcast with another man named Josh. And
a
Vivian
Lakers podcast?
Lakers podcast, only Laker tweets, all Lakers stuff.
Okay.
Vivian posts this week that, or maybe like 2-3 weeks ago, that she has leukemia or some sort of cancer, and she's losing her hair, and she's posting all these things, right? And this week, Josh says, I got a message from her sister. She's gone missing. If you know where she's at, she was in Santa Monica or whatever. If you can help us find her. She was last seen by a jogger. She was going for chemo, and we haven't found her. We haven't seen her since. So, people started like looking for her. A guy comes out and says, yo, this girl's a catfish. I fell in love with her because, she likes the Lakers. I was talking to her. I would beg to FaceTime her. I would beg to talk to her, and she would never let me. I know she's a catfish. And it got real because even Ice Cube's son, O'Shea Jackson, started tweeting like, oh, please help find Viv because she's prominent in the Laker community.
But nobody's ever seen her. So
no one's ever seen her other than the photos she posts that were obviously Photoshopped. Yeah, Photoshopped.
Okay.
So then Kevin Durant gets in a chat room with these guys, and it's like, yo, what do you mean you fell in love with this girl? You don't got a lot of experience with women? Like, what's this? Like how did that happen? Like, how did you get catfish?
Yo, like KD? Is KD just like the internet gatekeeper? What the fuck is KD at this point, bro?
I don't know, bro, but he's always on Twitter.
He doesn't miss shit.
Yeah. And so he's in this chat, just, chatting up with these guys. And later on, they start inspecting these photos, and they started finding, hey, this photo belongs to this person. It's a Photoshop face on there. And the Photoshop was bad. And I guess we all just looked past it. We didn't recognize it at first. So then the next day, she's like, she gets blown up that she's a fake, and she's like, no, I had chemo. But that's her like easy excuse, right? Like she's using cancer as a gateway out.
She ended up popping up.
No, so she hires this like model that looks similar to the Photoshop she's been posting, and the model says thank you with a picture like holding the word Vivian, but it's misspelled. Someone knows who that model is and like, hey, that's not you, that's this model. Catfish is up. It's busted. She deletes her Twitter. Barstool starts covering the story. it gets out of control, man. Lakers fans were being made fun of left and right. That dude, just because he fell in love with the chick, like, it was bad. And they think it's the guy that was podcasting with her, making like a fake voice to get popular.
So he was podcasting by himself, acting as two people.
Yeah, that's what they think. And she had like over 10,000 followers, bro. She was like the girl on Laker Twitter for podcasting. Like, she was up there.
Would you listen to their podcast?
I would only listen to like the first ones, but then I stopped listening because it's pretty much what I was saying already. I didn't need extra information or spend my time that way. But I would look at her tweets because she for the most part right about what the Lakers needed and what the Lakers were wrong in. But she was
That's a trip. Catfish Laker fans.
Super trip, bro. And I'll post the story to you later so you can see that. But
you Lakers fans have no boundaries, bro. I've been trying to say this.
It got weird, bro. It got weird on Laker Twitter. I was up all hours that night, trying to figure out. And you know what's bad, bro? I've reposted her stuff before.
Justin got catfished, everybody.
Not in that situation.
No, you got catfished, bro.
I got fan catfished. That I was a fan of hers, in the community, but I'm glad that's over.
Well, that guy is talented if he was doing two voices and had that many followers. Fuck.
Yeah, bro. That was weird.
And what's up with him? No, there hasn't been have people been pressing him or what's
people have been pressing him, and then he came out telling her stuff like, "Hey, I'm getting a lot of the blowback. I need you to speak up." Like, it was. I'm gonna have to send you the link, bro, because it got weird. It got weird.
That's funny.
But let's get into this. It's gonna be mostly MMA today because we got a big pay-per-view coming up. But there was some pretty big news released this week, and I want you to at least get your opinion on it before we get into the MMA. And that's on Justin Fields. Potential number 3 pick here to the Niners, but maybe not now. He let the managements of the NFL teams know he's battling epilepsy. He has seizures. Does that hurt his draft stock, man, going into this draft? Letting your teams know, hey, I could potentially have a seizure on the field. That's a fumble.
That's a fumble. Shit. I don't think they're worried about that, cuz I think that they might be worried about the longevity of his playing career. Yeah. But it was news to me. I recently caught wind of this. I haven't been keeping up with a lot of draft stuff. I usually the Texans don't have a first round pick. They haven't had one for a while, so I haven't really been keeping up with the draft the last couple of years. And I like being surprised the night of the draft,
Yeah.
So I had caught wind of Mac Jones possibly now being the number 3 pick, and maybe teams had already caught wind of this, and it's just now been, made public. So it does make sense for him dropping. I've seen now, I heard yesterday on the radio that he might be available at pick 10 now, which is wild, to me. They're talking about that other quarterback possibly being picked before him. Not only Mac Jones.
North Dakota's quarterback?
Yeah. So
Lance.
There you go, Lance. They said that he might be available at 10. I mean, I wasn't so high on the kid, to be honest. I did like Wilson over him, but I do think that he's better than Mac Jones, and I do think that he's better than Lance. Unfortunately, though, dealing with something like epilepsy, it is a big red flag to teams. Not, like I said, not necessarily because it might happen on the field, but because of the longevity of his career. You know what I mean? That's something that, I'm no doctor and I don't know much about it, but I don't know how much control you can get of something like that. You know what I mean? So I do understand him dropping in the draft. It makes a lot of sense. It's unfortunate, but somebody's going to get a good pick, on the low. And I don't know how long his career may be, but he will be a good starting quarterback, I think, for a number of years.
Yeah, I have a friend who has epilepsy, and there's certain things that trigger it that he has to stay away from. And for the most part, he has it under control. I think it's only happened to him once in workplace where he got a little stressed out and he couldn't control it at that point.
Okay.
So it's manageable,
Well, and quarterback is a very stressful position. So if stress is a triggering factor in that, then you know, I really understand it then, because quarterback is probably the most stressful position in sports.
So let's put this to a little bet here. You see him going over 8 picks then at this point.
Now, I mean, I don't know about 8 picks, but now I definitely see Mac Jones going before him. I will say that. And I was on the train that there's no way. I was on the side that the 49ers would be stupid to do that, because they traded away a good amount of stuff for Mac Jones. It just didn't make too much sense to me.
I wonder if they regret trading now.
Well, and that's another thing. Yeah. Or if Mac Jones was just their guy that whole time.
They're going to sell it like it's their guy if they pick him, though.
Well, they got to. Yeah, they got to. Because if not, I mean, not that they got played, but when this didn't come out at the combine, it just came out, or
this just came out this week, like yesterday.
Okay.
But it's something they've known all through his college career. I mean, it's not new. You deal with this for a while.
Then I wonder why it's such a big deal right now if it's been known.
Yeah, well, I mean, you just don't want to have, when you go to the doctor and you tell them run this physical, you just don't want anything on you that, you know, takes away from you. And that's something that will take away from you.
Yeah.
And NFL teams look at those physicals and they you know, that makes or breaks, especially in the first round. They're not willing to take those risks in the first round.
And a top 10 pick on that, bro. A top 10 pick at quarterback. Like, if there's one thing that teams hate, it's missing on quarterback and looking dumb. You know what I mean? So
you don't want to miss on your first pick. That just
exactly. It's very tricky. Yeah. I really do think that he's gonna have some good years in the NFL. Landry Fields, Justin Fields. Yeah. I think that he's going to have some good years in the NFL. And whoever does pick him, did I agree that he was a top 5 guy? No, I never did say that. Like I said, I was a little lower on him than I know Roland was. But at number 10, I mean, for sure.
Yeah. Well, this just in, Trey Young, they got the MRI done on his ankle. It's a level 2 fracture, I think.
Damn it, boy. I saw that. I saw
that
that
right now.
For fantasy, he got ruled out for tomorrow, but I didn't know the exact diagnosis. Well, what?
Grade 2 lateral sprain.
Sprain?
Yeah.
Not fracture.
Yeah, so he can come back once the swelling's gone.
So playoff time?
Yeah, he'll be back by playoffs.
2 weeks?
Yeah. And that's one of the teams Roland gave out, so hopefully for Roland's sake.
Yeah, that does hurt them, though, because it seems like he might miss. You know, there's, I think, 15 games left in the season. So you would think that at least puts him out a week and a half to 2 weeks, that ankle sprain. So he will miss a couple of games. And just, I know we don't have much on NBA, but just a shout out to the Knicks, man, on a 6-game win streak. And Julius Randle looks like a max contract player. Would you max Julius Randle?
Yeah, if I'm the Knicks, I am.
If you're the Knicks, for damn sure. But is Julius Randle a max player on multiple teams or just on the Knicks? Is he a max contract player?
Yeah, I mean, he had the production that 1 year in the Pelicans, and now he has it even more that he's the guy. I think if the Knicks are not willing to max him out, he's going to get his bag somewhere else.
And a player that he's been compared to a lot, and that is a free agent also this coming season, and people have said that he's worth max money, is John Collins.
Yeah.
Another power forward, young guy, but I mean, yeah, and he's been out. He's been injured also. I know the Knicks just played Atlanta. That Trey Young injury happened yesterday against the Knicks. The Knicks are on a 6-game win streak, man. I believe they're the number 4 or 5 seed in the East.
Yep.
So shit's up in New York. I know you all touched on it last week, and for sure, Tom Thibodeau is just the coach that they needed, man. The Knicks had all of that lottery talent. They had young players. They had vets. He brought back D Rose. You know, Quickly's been nice. Knox at times. RJ Barrett has seemed to find his role on the team. So, yeah, a lot of props to Tom Thibodeau. He really has them rolling and playing well.
Is John Collins that guy that was up for that 50-40-90 club?
I'm not sure about that, Joseph.
I think it's him who hadn't missed a free throw like all year.
Nah, that can't be John Collins.
There's an Atlanta Hawk right now that I just don't remember the name.
Probably
He's up-
Gallinari, bro.
Nah, it's not Gallinari. But he's up for that 50, 40, 90 right now. And I thought it was Collins at least.
Julius Randle's putting the team on his back, man. He's getting tough buckets late in games. He's getting the rebounds. He's getting 30-plus points. It's enjoyable watching the Knicks right now.
Yeah. And, I thought they just had too many forwards to be, it's Tony Snell. I thought they had too many forwards at the time, and I thought, how's this team going to function? But, I mean, they're working it. They're above 500. They're in fourth place, I think. And
yeah. With Bullock, with Trey Burks.
I thought they missed with Toppin. I didn't think he was going to pan out after all, and he's doing okay.
He's not doing what a lottery pick should be doing. Yeah, he should be doing a lot more, but he was injured to start the season, and slowly he's being worked in. The good thing for him is he just has like an NBA build to him, and he's athletic. He just needs to get more confident shooting the ball, but he'll be all right there. I'm not saying he's going to be a crazy player, but he's going to be a rotation player for the Knicks for sure.
Yeah, so it's Tony Snell that's on that 50, 40, 90
Tony
club right now. And the thing of it is that he hasn't missed a free throw yet this year. So he could possibly, if this continues, be the only one at 50, 40, and 100.
Damn it, boy.
There's only like 4 players, Steve Kerr, a few others that are on that list, man. It's pretty exclusive.
Well, I'm rooting for Tony Snell.
Yeah,
that's what our basketball segment is like this week. Tony Snell.
Yeah, not a lot on it, but when you're
here's
at that point you have to talk about it.
We did have a couple of players come out and say that they think that hands down they are the MVP. I know Steph Curry said it before yesterday's game. Steph Curry's been on a run.
And then what did he do yesterday? Five for like 40 or whatever.
He's the third leading scorer on his team. And then Embiid, after that loss to the Suns, I guess he caught wind of what Curry said. And Embiid said, I mean, it's hands down, I'm the best player in the NBA this year. As far as for Curry, I mean, I've been known to be a Curry hater. But with this one, I think that I have a legit argument. Like, there's never been a guy who doesn't make the playoffs be MVP. So that's, I mean, we can just.
It's not happening. It's not happening. Rule it out. It's Jokic.
And I'm going to say
the games. Embiid has missed quite a minute of games to be the MVP at this point.
But it's definitely between Jokic and Embiid, and you all pretty much had it between them two.
Yeah, if Embiid was healthy, it's his. If he plays those games.
He is healthy.
No, but if he doesn't miss quite a significant amount of games, it's his.
But he does have his team at the 1 seed. And it's usually best player on the best team. Usually.
But this guy's averaging a triple-double almost. He's one assist away from averaging a triple-double.
Half an assist away.
Half an assist.
Yeah. It's definitely, I mean, I'm pumped. Finally, the return of the big man. It will for sure be a center that wins MVP this year. I am excited for that. And they're two different types of centers. Now, Embiid does have finesse, but he's more like, athletic and can kind of do it all. And Jokic, I mean, you see him pivot, pass. He hits those teardrop shots. He does it all. So they're really both a joy to watch. And I'm glad that the big man is back.
Yeah. Now, let's just get Steph Curry. Odds are he is the third favorite, but let's get him out of the way. Let's get James Harden out of the way. Who is the next guy up at that point?
I mean, I would have said Dame Lillard, but he recently got injured. But, I mean, he was playing lights out also earlier this year.
It's not Giannis again, is it?
Giannis has to be in there. I mean, it's definitely not going to be him, but he's got to be in there. Yeah. And people are going to want to put Luka also on the list.
He's on the list, but I think I'd go to Giannis before Luka at this point.
I would as well.
They had a slow start, and they got it together now.
But I would
Speaking of the Mavericks,
but I would put those guys ahead of Curry, bro. Because, I mean, Curry's not even 500. You know what I mean?
I'm agreeing with you on this one. I'm not even considering Curry at this point. The team's in shambles. I mean,
Now, if they're like a 5 or 6 seed and Curry's having the year that he's having, then yes, we're definitely talking about it.
even if he was a 7 seed at that point, even then, I'd be like,
Well, they're not
whoa.
too far away from 7, cuz
No, but they're not going to make the playoffs. I don't think they're going to make it.
they might be in the playing game and make it because
Well, that's their only way. They need to fight for that playing game because that's the only way they're making it.
Because the Grizzlies are also struggling. I believe that they have the exact same record as the Grizzlies, and the Grizzlies are sitting in the 8 seed.
Yeah. But speaking of the Mavericks, you know who's making a return tonight, right?
Who's that?
Anthony Davis. 15-minute restriction tonight. He's back.
I did see that. What are you expecting?
15 minutes, I expect.
7 shot attempts?
Yeah, and 4 to 5 rebounds.
That's fair. I was going to say 3 or 4 boards.
Just to see where he's at physically. I mean, because you know what? You missed 33 games. You're going to be not in basketball shape. And this game's about slowly getting you back into basketball shape.
For sure. Trying to get in rhythm, hitting some of those turnaround baseline jumpers and shit.
Yeah, getting back to your spots. And
what time do they play it?
Tonight they go on at...
Is it 30. On
TNT?
Got you. It's a later game.
Same time as the UT women's volleyball against number 1 Wisconsin in the Final Four.
Shout out to them.
Between those two.
Yeah. All right. Well, that'll wrap up NBA. We'll get back to NBA next week when Roland joins us, and we'll have a little bit better picture of what the playoffs are going to look like. We're going to start getting to single-digit games by next week left in the season, so it'll be a good time to touch up on that again.
Yeah, then we'll see about the injuries. Who's back? LaMelo's coming back, and then hopefully LeBron will be back by then, and anybody else that's out. Hopefully Trae Young's ready for playoffs.
Donovan Mitchell should be coming back soon.
Spider's out too.
Zach LaVine.
It seemed like this was an injury-ridden year, man.
Yeah, and the players
a lot of stars getting hurt.
But I mean, it just had to be that way based on the way last year's played out, and them having that break in between. It's just the way it had to be, Yeah. The thing is, the teams that are supposed to be in the playoffs right now, for the most part, we could say are in the playoffs, except, I don't know where the Raptors are sitting in the East, but I saw that they're like 10 games below 500. I saw that yesterday. That's definitely one thing I didn't expect. But, we saw the Heat get back on track. The Celtics get back on track. A lot of teams that were, out of the playoffs before and we expected to have spots in the playoffs have now worked their way back into the playoffs. So it's shaping up to be what we expected, I would think, as far as the playoff teams.
Yeah, the East is getting competitive at that 3 through 7 spot. So number 8's up for grabs, though.
Can the Knicks get to 3?
2 games away from 3, 2.5 games away from 3.
And that's the Bucks?
That's the Bucks. Okay. And Philly's taking back that 1 spot in the East. So.
That's why I think Embiid might get the nod for MVP, just because, will it be the best record in the NBA, or do the Suns do the Jazz still have that on them?
That would be the Jazz by 5 games right now.
Oh, okay. So,
but without Spider, they can miss a few here, and that could get real close too.
Yeah, but
Brooklyn's only half a game behind Philly at this point.
Okay. Yeah, Harden's going to be out a little bit of time too for them. So hopefully by playoff time he'll be back. But me and Roland were pretty sure that the Nets were going to be representing the East, and if they don't get healthy, that's the only way. But it's looking more and more like they might just not be healthy, man.
7 games total they played together. 7.
Yeah, and we know that they get along and stuff, and they'll win in a series. They'll figure it out. They'll win 4 before the other teams do, in maybe the first 2 rounds. But when it gets to the Eastern Conference Finals, they might find themselves in trouble if Durant or Harden are hurt.
Just a little interesting fact. Harden has played more games for the Rockets this year than he's played with Durant and Irving together.
There you go.
Just a little weird, but
and they're still the 2 seed. And they're still the 2 seed, yeah.
Still right there.
That wraps up NBA, man. Well, let's get into some MMA talk. All right, man. Well, let's recap a little bit of last week's MMA. I know I wasn't on the show to talk about it, but both of y'all had Robert Whittaker winning, didn't you?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Were you surprised with how easy he got it done?
Yeah, I was because Robert Whitaker doesn't have the size on Kelvin Gastelum that other middleweights do. Robert Whitaker used to be a welter, but he moved up. He wasn't making weight. That cuts a little hard too. So I didn't see the knockout. I figured by decision, but the way that it happened, the dominance in the striking, that dude's striking has gotten a lot better since his loss.
I mean, I think that his movement has gotten a lot better. I did expect him to dominate. Over there, we all took Whitaker by decision at plus 140. Everybody was very happy with that one. And Kelvin Gastelum's a tough dude, man. Kelvin Gastelum's tough as hell. Shit, we remember him coming up in the Ultimate Fighter in the championship. He fought Uriah Hall, and he ended up beating Uriah Hall, somebody who we'll be talking about later. But
nobody favored Uriah at the time also.
He was a big favorite. Like, nobody would have ever expected Kelvin Gastelum ending up where he is, fighting for number one contender shots, even getting a title shot, getting a fight in the Hall of Fame with Israel Adesanya. Like, he's just undersized, and he can battle with these guys, but he doesn't have what it takes to get it over the top. And it all goes back to the dedication and the fact that if he was a weight class lower, bro, I mean, prior to Usman, he could have taken Woodley.
Yeah, the hands are better, and the power's in the hands at middle, so it's going to be there at welter.
Wasn't it even a fight against Woodley that I believe that made him move up? I think that he lost to Woodley, and then Woodley ended up fighting Lawler for the belt.
I think he ended up missing weight on the fight for Woodley, and that's what made him move up.
Right.
It was like 3 in a row at that point.
Dana had enough. Yeah, Dana's the one that made him move up. But for this guy, I mean, I think he's past the point of winning a title. Kevin Gastelum.
If he doesn't just switch down to welter, it's over. He's not going to win a title at middleweight. Just not.
But I mean, he's not going to win a title with Usman as a champ down there either.
No, but you like his chances a little bit more than you would at welter. I mean, at middle. Just a little bit better there at welter.
You don't think a rematch?
I think he at least will get a title shot at welter. He's not getting another title shot at middleweight now.
Let's say that he fights Vettori and he beats Vettori. You don't think that maybe he gets Izzy? No. He had a good fight against Izzy.
Great fight, but it was what, 3 rounds?
It was 3 rounds. No, it was for the title. It was for the interim title. That's when he fought for the belt. And then Adesanya fight against Whitaker.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I just don't see him moving down this late in his career. I think he
likes being this weight. He likes not having to cut that much. He's not moving down. Just not. Even though it would be smart if he wants to the belt.
And he'll win fights. He'll win fights in the UFC. But I mean, I think as far as title aspirations, that's over him. As for Whitaker, I mean, dominant performance, never really in trouble. And he did show some wrestling. Obviously, we saw Adesanya move up and fight Blachowicz at 205, and it was wrestling that gave Blachowicz, that path to victory. So maybe this time around, Robert Whitaker takes that path and tries to get Adesanya's back on the mat. Now, he is undersized, so it's not going to be as easy for him to hold him down as it was for Blachowicz, but he might be mixing that in a lot more. I do think that he's next for the fight. This was more impressive than Vettori's win over Kamaru Trailblazer Holland. Mm-hmm. So Whitaker also said, I'm ready for that second one. Adesanya seems like he knows that Whitaker is the guy. So hopefully we'll have that fight late summer. I'm expecting it. As for Vettori, I mean, maybe the fight against Till when Till gets better, or I don't know. I don't know what Vettori does. Does he just sit and wait for that? I'm not sure.
For starters, it has to be Whitaker. It should not be Vettori. We got to remember Whitaker also took out Cannonier.
Yeah, he did.
That's a tough fight too.
He was an underdog in that fight.
He's more deserving. He's got the wins ever since he's lost the belt, and he never got his rematch. He wanted to get it some time, get things right. Things are right for him now.
Right.
Vettori, on the other hand, has been on a streak. People don't want to fight the guy. I think he's worthy of getting either one more fight and getting the shot,
but who?
Or waiting for the shot. Vettori.
But if he fights somebody else, like, who's in the picture up there is what I'm saying, Just.
Man, Till would have to be the one because he's the only one. It's not going to be Gastelum. Gastelum's coming off a loss. A win for Gastelum doesn't get you the winner of that middleweight championship fight.
It might, just because you're active and it adds to the win streak. And I think it'd be an easy fight for Vettori if he could hold him down the way that he held Holland. So Whitaker versus Valentina is next. We'll let the rest play out. Other than that, were you impressed with Andrei Arlovsky? I know it seemed like he turned the clock back a bit. Did you?
No, not at all. I thought he had a shot at winning, but nothing impressive that I'm going to say, hey, this guy can go on a streak. Like, it's not going to happen.
42 years old, bro. How much longer will he fight in the heavyweight division?
He said that he wants to fight out the rest of the year, and then maybe like the rest of his contract was like 3 or 4 fights, and then I think he's done.
It's just very dangerous in the heavyweight division for a guy.
I got the name for you, though. I got the name for you, Ben, on who Vettori could fight to get the shot.
Okay, who's that?
The Brazilian, Costa.
Paulo Costa. And that'd be a good fight. 2 big-ass dudes.
Yeah, because Costa gets the win. I want my rematch.
Oh,
if he loses, Vettori gets the rematch.
Pull out of a fight?
Costa, I think, did pull out of a fight recently. I think he did.
Against Whitaker. That was supposed to be Whitaker.
That's right. It was supposed to be Whitaker. Mm-hmm.
I don't know what he hurt, but I'm sure that he'll be back before Till's broken collarbone.
Yeah.
So that would make sense for Vettori against Costa, and man, that would be a good main event.
Yeah, I'd watch. I'm not buying, but I'd watch.
I'm not buying, but I'd watch. Any other fight on this card that you want to talk about or that impressed you?
Not that the fight happened, but we got to talk about it. Jeremy Stupid Idiot Stevens.
Jeremy Stevens and Drakkar Klose. And I was cracking up with Roland's pronunciation, Closey. He was calling him Closey.
Yeah.
Drakkar Klose. So they go up the final face-to-face after weigh-ins, and they're in each other's face, and Jeremy Stevens just pushes the hell out of Drakkar Klose. And it kind of gets whiplash, I guess. But he ends up spraining something, suffering a concussion, and having to pull out of the fight. I mean, there is MRIs to prove that this did happen. You know, it wasn't just diagnosed by anybody. So today I saw that Dana White said that they are paying Drakkar Klose for showing up, but they aren't giving him his bonus.
Yeah. I hope they don't give Stevens his money.
Yeah, I'm not sure. And we've seen guys push each other a lot. But Stevens did, he charged up for that one, and Klose really wasn't braced for impact, I guess you could say.
It didn't even look like words were being said for Stevens to get.
I mean, they were wearing masks, to be fair.
Yeah.
So we can't.
But body language doesn't show. Oh, look, this one's gonna be a
right. And I think
are pissed.
Yeah, and he alluded to he was too close to my space, and Jeremy Stevens, like, he's known for being a hothead, bro. So, I mean, it is no surprise. But do you think that there should be a punishment to Jeremy Stevens?
I think the punishment's already there, and him
just not paying
for this fight and not getting paid.
That's fair.
You punished yourself at that point.
You like to see guys acting like this prior to fights. At least I do. It's just unfortunate that somebody had to get hurt
and invested in the fight.
Was happening. Yeah, and I actually like Drakkar Klose in that fight, to be honest. But I don't know after that push. I mean, I don't know if he intimidated a lot of people were saying that Klose was soft, for pulling out and this and that. But I mean, if the medical
you have a concussion, you're not soft. It's just you got to protect your head.
That's not safe. That's not safe by any means. So yeah, that's pretty much it for that card. Nothing really special, but there were some decent fights. A lot of decisions on this one, unfortunately. It was another fight that stole the night, and I wish I could have been here last week to make a bet on this one, because I was the only one going for Jake Paul on this one, and I was
going for Jake Paul, or were you more just thinking he was going to win? There's a difference.
Well, I mean, whatever you want to call it, fam. I was on the right side of the fence on this one. However,
you just call it how it is, though. Were you going for the kid?
Yeah, I wanted to see Aspen lose. I had money on him over there. I put money on him over there in Vegas. So yeah, I wanted to see him lose. Okay. But you got to answer for this, bro. Like, What did you expect to happen? I mean, you're not a casual MMA guy. You've seen Ben Askren's career. How I mean, I don't agree that Jake Paul's the best boxer either. He's a boxer who's beaten up little Nate Robinson and a dude who I think that we might be able to outstrike. To be fair, bro, like he is amateur as it gets.
Nate Robinson?
No, Jake Paul.
You're gonna outstrike Jake Paul?
Not Jake Paul. Ben Askren. I think I could outstrike Ben Askren.
I could too.
You could too, but you picked him to win. Just
well, here's the thing. I've seen him take bombs. I've seen him, a little bit rocked and still survive.
The rest of hell through and Robbie Lawler.
And I thought the game plan was going to be there, that he would just tire him out. His rounds would be 5th and 6th, and he'd just, gas the kid up. What I didn't account for was the dive that this was going to be, because it was an absolute dive.
Not a dive. No.
Bro, we've seen this kid get hit with way harder punches with softer gloves. This was a dive. You catch him out afterwards, and he's celebrating with his wife like he just won.
He's not celebrating. He has a smile on his face because he's a meme again.
That's not why he smiles. He doesn't like being a meme.
Bro, his whole career is tarnished, bro.
Yeah, it is. It is. But he doesn't like it. He's not happy about it.
That's why he's smiling, because it's like he even said it, the one way that I couldn't lose, and it happened off the bat. There's no way he took a dive. I'm not saying he was done, but he was going to get hurt. He was going to get hurt. Yeah. There
was a big striking disparity there. I mean, we knew that was a possibility because Ben Askren's never had hands. You remember that time he fought the other grappler, Damian Maia, and he tried to throw that spinning back fist?
Maia fucked him up. Bro,
but you remember the spinning back fist attempt?
Yes.
It was the slowest, worst spinning back fist I ever seen.
That's why I can't believe you chose him to win.
I just thought the resilience of a fighter, the technique, the tactics, he has the upper hand. I just thought that was going to be it.
It wasn't.
It didn't even look like he trained. Straight, to be honest, it didn't look like he trained at all.
That's the way
he had 2 bad hips and he looked bad.
That's the way he's looked his whole career, and that's another thing. He was coming off hip surgery. I mean, I don't know if you hate Jake Paul. I'm not a big fan of his either, but I do want to be on the right side of this. All I know is the Nate Robinson fight. I don't know the kid. Like, I don't know what he does or anything. And let's be real. Like, he's fought little Nate Robinson in boxing and Ben Askren. Like,
apparently he has 4 fights. I just found that out this week.
Well, he fought a YouTuber twice.
Yeah,
so how long is he gonna milk it before he fights somebody of
as long as he can,
real ilk? Like, he won't get in there with Woodley. He's not gonna because that's up there if he wants it. Like, they can make that happen.
It may not happen to me. It's not gonna happen.
But I don't think Triller would let it happen either, because it might put a stop. That's the money train. They hit the jackpot with him. Yeah. The Triller's gonna ride Jake Paul as much as they can. I mean, I think that it sold 1 million pay-per-views if I'm not mistaken.
I think it did more than 1 million pay-per-views.
More than 1 million.
Supposedly, it was the most pirated pay-per-view all time.
And Ben Askren was fighting this guy.
You know who I think it's going to be, if it is going to be somebody?
Dylan Dennis.
Another guy who can't punch.
Yeah.
Something like that.
And he'll whoop Dylan Dennis's ass. And you all might pick Dylan Dennis.
I'll pick Dylan Dennis.
I
like Dylan Dennis.
It's Jake Paul against MMA. That's what this is going to become.
The real true equalizer is the day he goes and fights an amateur MMA fighter. He'll get his ass whooped.
In the octagon, he'll never do that. But fam, BJ Penn threw his name out there.
Oh, BJ Concussion Penn needs to sit down.
No, but Jake Paul will do it. But Jake Paul will do it.
He'll knock him out, bro.
But most people wouldn't even sign the contract against BJ Penn right now. But Jake Paul will do it, knowing, bro. That just adds to the first round highlight reel.
Maybe Mayweather kind of sold his career on people wanting to see him get knocked out, lose. This might be the next Mayweather. They want to see Jake Paul lose, and he's not going to lose. if he's fighting these bums.
He's definitely taking the blueprint, and he definitely needs to fight bums, but known bums for as long as he can. You know, guys who aren't strikers, and not that many people even know who Dylan Dennis is. Like the BJ Penn one, I could fucking see him doing, bro. It would be ridiculous.
I think Dylan Dennis has internet clout, so the internet world knows Dylan Dennis. And those are the guys that are new eyes to boxing because they watch this kid he's on YouTube, right? Jake Paul?
Yeah. One of my coworkers one of my coworkers tells me Jake Paul will beat Woodley. So I do want that fight to happen.
What?
Yeah, and this dude bet 500 on Jake Paul to beat Askren.
He's a fan, bro.
So he is.
I'm not mad at him. It's just a fan. Just call it what it is.
And I told him, I was like, yo, that's just too much money to be putting on this, bro. Like, there's better stuff out there. But it seemed like this was the safest bet of Saturday, to be fair. But I just don't think that you throw $500 on a Jake Paul fight. But if Jake Paul fights Woodley, yo, I'm going to come up with him because Woodley will not lose to Jake Paul.
You think if Woodley's losing, he shoots the double leg?
No, bro. We've seen Woodley just fucking take it and go out, bro. The one thing is Woodley might gas out before this dude. But, I mean, look at Woodley was in there with Luque, bro, and wobbled him and with 4-ounce gloves, not boxing gloves. Like, I just don't see. What about Mike Perry?
That's a possibility because they were already beefing after Mike Perry was sparring with him. So that's a possibility.
And he's bigger than Mike Perry. He'll have a lot of
Mike Perry.
He'll have a lot of reach. But the reason I don't see that one is because I don't see him getting Mike Perry out of there.
Mike Perry has a boxing history. That's where he came up through.
Oh, then yeah, that's not going to happen then. And if you sparred with him and he kind of knows already, because he did say that he did bring in Mike Perry for sparring. I think that's what was going around. But fam, too many
footage where he was like rocking Perry a little bit, but
it's because Perry are just throwing like this guy's like McGregor 2.0. Like everybody wants it. Everybody wants this. Everybody wants this fight now.
He's the biggest fight in boxing right now, man.
Canelo's still the biggest fight in boxing. Let's not do that.
I don't think Canelo's numbers are this numbers, man.
Well, yeah, because he ain't I mean, this guy's not fighting.
Canelo fights nobody's.
Right. That's what I was going to say. He's not fighting anybody, but I mean, neither is Jake Paul.
Yeah, but
how many fans did Ben Askren take to that viewing thing? How many pay-per-view buys did Ben Askren do?
Whoever just wanted to see him lose, I say maybe 100 to 200,000.
You don't think maybe some MMA fans or some wrestling fans? Because, I mean, he is an Olympic wrestler. You don't think
like
maybe
Daniel Cormier's of the world and people like that watch, but that's unlimited.
And like, they're
how many wrestling fans do you know?
Yeah, like I just think that the MMA community was there for Ben Askren. 100,000 buys.
Yeah.
Top.
Ben Askren's side, yeah, he was the B side, C side, whatever you want to call it.
For sure. I just don't think he's ever been worth 100,000 pay-per-view buys, even in any MMA fight.
It seemed like all the MMA community was behind him. They wanted him to get this win.
Right. And now everybody's saying
I saw tweets and memes that said, "We'll forgive you for the Masvidal thing if you make this one right."
Yeah. And now DC said when he sees Dana, he's gonna tell him like, "Yo, we need to send somebody over there. Like, we need to get this one back because
let's get it back. Let's book it right. Who are you sending? If it's up to you, who are you sending?"
I think that Mike Perry is the most doable one. Like that he would accept because it's got to be Perry or Woodley. I just O'Malley against Paul, but he wouldn't get in there.
40 pounds heavier.
It does. And wasn't Nate Robinson too, fam? Like Nate Robinson's like 5'4".
Ah, man, I think that was only like a few pounds. That wasn't like 40, 50 pounds. O'Malley's a 135er.
Well, my coworker's saying Ryan Garcia, bro. So
Ryan Garcia would end that kid.
You think so? At 127 pounds that Ryan Garcia weighs, you think that he'd beat Jake Paul?
Without a doubt. Ryan Garcia has the footwork, the speed, the power. Ryan Garcia is a real boxer, bro. He doesn't play boxing.
Nobody's saying he's not a man. He ain't fought nobody either, bro. He ain't shit yet. He's
still got more years and more time than Jake Paul.
He's that Sean O'Malley hype train right now for boxing. That's what he is.
So after that last fight, he fought. I mean, I think he's good. I think he's the real deal.
We'll see, but yeah, man, it seems like Triller's gonna keep this going. And what did you think of the whole production? Like, you know, they had concerts.
Oh man,
they had Oscar De La Hoya there. They had Snoop Dogg.
Oscar De La Hoya was loaded, bro. That dude was high on live TV, just going at Frank Mir, talking smack while he's fighting.
He was like, "Mike, I love you, Mike."
You know what they said was that the speakers that were speaking, you could hear them through the whole arena, like they're playing whatever they were saying through the arena. So he's down talking Frank Mir this whole time. Frank Mir can hear all that.
Yeah,
that's embarrassing, bro.
I mean,
he was an absolute embarrassment that night.
I saw memes of the guy that they're dragging out, and he's saying, "Pues por qué me invitan si ya saben cómo me pongo?"
Yes,
that was him. Like, but I mean, bro, he's gonna be fighting for Triller, so
yeah,
I don't know. And to be fair,
like said, cocaine's an expensive drug. He's got to feel that habit now.
Frank Mir was like a plus 2,000 underdog, bro.
Hey, Frank didn't do that bad. He didn't do that bad.
He survived. But I mean,
that's a lot for a big guy.
It was an 80, and you're talking about weight difference. The guy that he fought weighed in at 215, and Mir weighed in at 285.
Yeah.
So Triller's not worried about weight.
No, they're not. I don't know if you heard. I know we're not supposed to announce this because it's still early, but his brother, Logan Paul, I think his name, is fighting Mayweather.
That's official now?
Yeah, that's an exhibition fight. And the rule is the older brother can't come in more than 205, and Mayweather can't weigh more than 160. That's the ruling on the weight. I don't know how they figure it out.
So 45 pounds?
Yeah. Because apparently this guy's like 6'1", 6'2". They're not small dudes.
No, but I mean, is he a bot? Like,
oh, you know what other name I got for Jake Paul? Luke Rockhold.
I don't like it. I don't like it, and too dangerous of a fight too early on. Like, they got to milk this shit, bro.
It's a 185er.
It's gonna be
not a boxer necessarily. He's more of a wrestler.
It's gonna be Dylan Dennis or BJ Penn.
And the sad thing is probably gonna be BJ
Penn. It probably is gonna be BJ Penn. It probably is.
And he's gonna be like, "Oh, I got another MMA guy."
That's when we're gonna fucking have our funeral for BJ Penn, bro. When he fights Triller, but at least he's gonna get paid. He's gonna go out like that.
For another 50 seconds of work, he's gonna get another $1 million.
For sure. But anyways, enough of that. Enough of recapping, man. Let's get to this weekend's card.
All right, man.
So, and looking at the card, Justin, originally, I guess it was just the main card, I believe, is pretty good because of the title fights, albeit two of them being women's fights. But the undercard I thought was going to be a lot better. And when you and I were talking about what prelims are we going to talk about, and you were like, let me know yesterday. And I was looking at them and I was like, damn. It's like they're bringing like a bunch of Asian fighters into this card, I guess. Bunch of guys that it's like their first fight in the UFC. And there's really not much meat to the prelims. The main card is pretty stacked with the title fights, and the two other fights on there are pretty good. But the prelims that we did want to talk about, Brendan All-In Allen against Carl
Roberson.
Carl Baby K. Roberson. A la madre. I know Allen is a slight favorite in this fight. I believe it was around the 120, 130 range. Allen comes in with a 15-4 record. Roberson comes in with a 9-3 record. Allen's coming in off that loss to Sean Strickland. He did get stopped in the second round. Prior to that, he was on a 3-fight win streak in the UFC. Wins over Tom Breeze, Kyle Dawkins, and he even had a win against Kevin Holland in his UFC debut. He choked out Kevin Holland. So Brendan Allen is tested. He has fought, decent competition in the UFC. Sean Strickland's a tough opponent. As far as Carl Roberson, I mean, the dude's pretty jacked, and he's just a stand-up guy. Also coming in off a loss against Marvin Vettori. He got choked out pretty quick in the first round. And that's been the thing for Roberson. When he has lost, he's been taken to the ground and tapped out. Glover did it to him. Just got done to him by Vettori in the last fight. How do you see this one playing out? Do you think Brendan Allen's going to be able to get the fight to the ground and finish Roberson, or does Roberson catch Brendan Allen?
Well, if you look at Roberson's losses, the two of them have come on the ground by
Yeah.
bigger opponents. Glover and Marvin were bigger than him. They were able to get him to the ground. Path to victory has to be on the ground. I do like Roberson's resume a little bit more if you're just looking at pure resume, because he has wins over Ryan Spann. He has wins over a few other guys. But I just think when he faces a bigger opponent, and this is all in for most purposes a bigger guy.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be able to get into the ground, and he'll be able to get his sub. So
Yeah.
that's how I have it going.
I like Allen in this one also, and I do think that he finishes him too. I think that he's going to get him to the ground early and often. I think that that's the plan. He's got to get back on track. When he finished Tom Breeze, it was ground and pound, elbows and punches. He subbed Kevin Holland, so he knows that his path to victory is clearly on the ground. I like Brendan Allen in this fight, and I need to get the odds, man, because I don't want to be giving out wrong odds on it. I did think that he was a slight favorite, though, but let me get the exact number in this one. In the next fight,
So the odds are Brendan Allen minus 150, Carl Roberson plus 130.
there you go. Okay. So, 150. I think it's going to be a rather easy victory for Brendan Allen, to be honest. All in Allen. I like that shit. Not saying I'm going all in.
Allen all in. That's a little play on words. I mean, it's cool.
Yeah, I'm not saying I'll be all in on his ass, but I do like him to win this week. And it's a big spot, man. Big spot on the first pay-per-view with fans. So up next, we got in the welterweight division, Alex Cowboy Olivera against Randy Rudeboy Brown. Randy Brown, younger, athletic guy. Alex Olivera, a guy who's been in there.
Cowboy.
Yeah, the Brazilian cowboy with the 12 baby mamas. Coming off a submission loss to Rachmanov. It seems for him that he's either got to get the guys early, or because if not, he's gassing out by the second, third round. I mean, he's done. Mike Perry's last win was against Cowboy, I believe. Yeah. So usually when it goes to decision, he's losing. Randy Brown, like I said, the younger guy here, I think that he is going to be able to survive that onslaught at the beginning. Randy Brown's last loss was to Luque. I mean, Luque, I believe, is levels above Alex Olivera at this point. So in this fight, I do like Randy Brown. I actually like him to finish Olivera third round. I'm going to take Randy Brown in this one.
I have no problem taking Randy Brown here. I think he'll end up getting the decision here. I don't think he's going to knock out or sub Alex Olivera. Randy Brown's in that like middle of the pack after the 1 through 10. Middle of the pack after 1 through 10.
I would say after 1 through 15, because he's not a ranked guy.
Yeah, okay. 1 through 15, you can say that he's behind 15 somewhere.
Yeah.
But it tends to be guys like the Bella Mohammeds and Vicente Luque. He's lost. Whenever it's a bigger name, he's lost, and he's lost bad.
And he has gotten KO'd when he has lost, like Nico Price.
Nico Price got him. Yeah. But he's better at this point, younger than Cowboy is. I think Cowboy's fighting out his contract. I don't think we'll see him much longer at this point.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you 100% there. I do think that he's going to be in danger in the first round, Randy Brown. But after that, second and third round, Olivera's going to gas. And like I said, I expect him to get him out of there in the third round, to be honest.
I think just Randy Brown's going to also carry a little bit more size on him. He'll be bigger the night of, too. So I just think those are to his advantage.
Yeah. And those are the two prelims that we're going to cover. So after that, the opener for the pay-per-view, a pretty good fight. The veteran Anthony Lionheart Smith, plus 165 here against Jimmy the Brute Crute. Comes in at minus 195 favorite. Jimmy the Brute Crute, he's
on a run.
He's on a run, 12-1, new to the UFC, but I mean, he's come in, he's taking care of business. He's one of those young prospects, and he's gotten to this fight where he's facing what I think we could call a gatekeeper for this 205-pound division, right? They're fighting at 205.
They're fighting at 205, but when you say gatekeeper, are you saying gatekeeper into the top 10 or into the top 5?
Into the top 5. I think if you beat Anthony Smith, I'm top 7. I don't know exactly what Anthony Smith is ranked right now. He is coming off a win, but prior to that, he had lost 2 in a row.
He's at 6, so that would put you top 6.
Yeah, so and I think that it might get you into the top 5 if you finish him. And listen, Anthony Smith is a vet, man. Anthony Smith he's 34-16. So Kamaru has 50 fights compared to Jimmy Crute, who's 12-1 with only 13 fights. Anthony Smith has been in every position that you could think of inside of that octagon. Jimmy Crute, for the most part, has had most of the fights go his way. This could be a fight. We've seen Anthony Smith be able to take a beating. I'm not saying that it's not there where maybe Jimmy Crute can't get him out of there and, punches himself out a bit, going for that finish. Although it is only a 3-round fight, I think that he's going to be able to get Anthony Smith down early and often and mix in some ground and pound. Hopefully he can hit him with some elbows and stop him, but I think that Crute is going to win this fight. I don't think that Anthony Smith is going to catch anything off his back, and I do expect him to be on his back for most of the fight.
So the only way I see Anthony Smith winning this is if he can get it to that third round, because as you see Crute's resume, it's a lot of first-round finishes.
Yeah.
And the one time that he was finished, it was also a first round. He got subbed. But for the most part, he's knocking someone out in that first round. He's called the Brute for a reason.
For sure.
And I just don't think Anthony Smith can take the punch that he used to be able to take. He's ever since that Glover beatdown.
That Glover fight had to have taken a lot out of it.
It took a lot. And honestly, it also was John Jones. I mean, John Jones put it on him for 5 rounds. And he had that illegal knee, but that's here nor there. But since that point, Anthony Smith was on a win streak. He loses to Jones, gets back on top with Gustafsson, and then Glover just whoops him like old man Glover does.
Yeah.
And he hasn't been the same since. He did have a win against Devin Clark with a triangle choke, but
that's
Devin Clark is not Jimmy the Crute.
And that's a step down in competition for sure. Devin Clark as well for him. And it was like a pick'em fight as well, where you would think Anthony Smith would be the favorite. The one thing I will say, though, is this is the toughest opponent that Jimmy Crute has faced. He has wins over Sam Alvey, Misha Serkinov, subbed him. He has a win over Paul Craig, Modestas Bukaku. Yeah, the Bear Jew.
Yeah, and Sam Alvey, that fight earns you this shot, kind of. It's kind of that,
Sam Alvey's done.
No, he's done now, but at the time he wasn't done. Like, this is Sam Alvey's what, two years ago? He's still that gatekeeper at that time to get you into this top 10 at least. And rightfully so. I think Crute is actually at 13, right behind Serkinov, who choked him. So
he is ranked. Yep.
So this fight's valid, but it's going to be Jimmy Crute.
You think
it'll
so?
Be done within 2.
You don't. So you don't think that he's that big of a favorite?
Jimmy Crute's minus 200 here.
Yeah, minus 195. You think that's that's like where it should be?
That's where it should be.
Yeah.
I mean, the kid's resilient, Anthony Smith, but we're seeing that he's kind of on the backside of his career now. He's no longer on that front line.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. We can definitely agree on that. The question is, though, like, Does he give the kid that vet lesson? Because we've seen that happen in a lot of fights where sometimes you just reach that where the guy knows more octagon tricks. He's been in there for days at this point with 50 fights.
Got hours in there.
Yeah.
29-28 crew.
29-28. You see? So, and it might be unanimous, but I could see Anthony Smith, giving some sort of resistance and probably taking one round if it does go to a decision. Although I expect him to be on the ground, man. And I think that, Jimmy Crute has that nickname for a reason, the Brute. I expect him to unleash on some ground and pound. So I'm with you there too. But I do think that this is a good test for him.
Yeah.
All right, up next, we got a rematch. And this isn't a rematch of a prior UFC fight, but these guys coming up in the regional scene. Undefeated Uriah Hall and an undefeated Chris Weidman back in the day. And Chris Weidman ends up beating Uriah Hall to become the champ of, I forget the promotion, but this is a rematch. So now Ring of Combat. So now complete different scenario. Both guys in two different spots of their career. Chris Weidman has already been the champion. I think we can all agree his best days are behind him. And now we have Uriah Hall, who moved to Fortis MMA over there with Coach Saif Saud, and it seems that stuff's clicking, and he's not as hesitant now throwing. We saw him, finish Anderson Silva most recently.
Yep.
That was one of his last wins. So,
in October. And
this fight is lined at minus 110, minus 110 pick'em. So, Justin, are you buying the hype on fucking Carolina Chris Weidman over there? I know that he moved down there with Wonderboy and his dad.
Brother-in-law?
Yeah, and he's been training down there in Carolina. Ray Longo still is in his corner for this fight. So he will have, the same head coach. But what do you think, man? His last fight wasn't impressive at all. He was gassed to the gills.
But he won. He dominated still.
For sure. But I don't think that it's going to take much for Uriah Hall to put him out, bro. I really don't.
I like Weidman in this fight.
So do you think that Weidman can keep Uriah Hall down?
Yes. Weidman's a really good wrestler. And I think Uriah Hall's not that great of a wrestler. He's a stand-up guy. And I think he's going to be able to keep him down. I also like the move to South Carolina. The reason being is because we know Weidman's a heavy wrestler. And now he went to a traditional mixed kickboxing, camp. Wonderboy is all feet, all, strikes. So that will solidify his game there, where he had weakness. Now, I do got to talk about that interview Chris Weidman had this week, saying that his plans after this win was title shot, defend it, and then retire. That's in his mind, that's what's happening next if he wins.
Dumbass.
The dude is outside his mind. He's not getting it.
You're picking him to win the fight, fam.
Yeah, I'll pick him to win the fight, but that doesn't warrant a title shot. You lost to Reyes, you lost to Sosa, you lost to Musasi, who's not with the company. You lost to Romero, who's not with the company. Luke Rockhold put you out. You're not getting another title fight. Your last wins over small guys, Kelvin Gastelum and Omari Akhmedov. You're just not getting another title fight. But does he have a chance against a Uriah Hall, who he's already beat? Yes. He can wrestle him for the 3 rounds and just stay on top for those 3 rounds. He's a big dude. He makes 205.
He's cooked, bro. He's done.
He's absolutely cooked. He's not going to beat
after the first round. Uriah Hall will just be picking the kill shot. After the first, I'll give you that he takes him down once.
I'm not going to be mad at that because I don't like Weidman. I don't like him. I hate him.
I just don't see him winning this fight, bro. He gasses too quick, man. Like that last fight was not impressive at all against Omari Akhmedov.
It wasn't. The Kelvin Gastelum wasn't impressive either.
Yeah, he was just way bigger than him. But Uriah Hall
just rode his back. You couldn't even take him down fully.
Be able to get up, man. Uriah Hall's going to be able to get up. He's going to have to get up.
Because I don't like Weidman.
He's going to have to get up once or twice. But fam, this guy got KO'd by Jacare. Uriah Hall might end his career. It's going to be bad for Chris Weidman. I think that Uriah Hall should be at least minus 150 favorite, bro, because he's gonna catch him. There's gonna be
in some books he's a plus money Uriah Hall. So if you feel that strong, you find
I just don't see Weidman finishing him, bro. And if it's going to decision, and I saw how gassed he was last time, I don't think that he's gonna be able to get a takedown in the third round.
I'm just going by the whole wrestlers versus strikers history, and you know how wrestlers have fared. That's my only logical process here. Yeah. Do I have any? Would I put money on Weidman to win? No, I wouldn't risk my money on it.
Yeah, but you should put money on Uriah Hall to win, and you wouldn't do that either.
No, I wouldn't.
All right, well, let's get to the title fights. I would say the worst of the three. Valentina Bullet Shevchenko minus 400 against Jessica Bate Estaca Andrade plus 310.
So let me ask you before you get into this, why the worst of the three?
Because Andrade doesn't have much skill to her.
Okay.
She just kind of like, her nickname should be Brute, Jessica Brute Andrade, or like, yeah. She just goes forward and she just knows one thing. Yeah. And Shevchenko is just like a point fighter to me. I don't know, like she doesn't do much for me, and I don't like that she yells throughout the whole fight every time she throws a strike.
Yeah, but she's way more skilled.
Oh, for sure, she's way more skilled, but like she's not fighting anybody good either. You know, like.
Yeah, I mean, Zhang Jacek's not bad. That's the last fight that I think that was worth anything.
Like Liz Carmouche, Caitlin Chukagian, Jennifer Maya, Jessica I. Like,
here's the thing.
And like her win against Zhang Jacek wasn't as like, it was just boring. It wasn't like Rose beating Joanna, or it wasn't like Wang Li beating Joanna, you know, like it was just lame.
Here's the thing, though. She wants that rematch with Nunes, but Nunes is not giving it to her.
Well, I mean, if you already beat her twice, like...
Well, one of those fights was real close that I don't think it was a win. I think that was a draw.
You know, that happens, but that's why she did get a rematch, and she lost clearly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'm not too excited about this fight, and I think Shevchenko... 5 rounds. The other chick is just going to go forward. I mean, she's had a couple of... So Shevchenko has gone decision TKO, decision KO, decision submission, decision...
The other fight to stop.
Yeah, so it's like going 1-1-1. So her last one was a win by decision unanimous. I'll go Shevchenko 4th round sub.
I'm good with that too. I think the size difference, because remember, Andrade really is she's 115er and she's coming up to 125. I think that's going to be a big difference. And not only that, when you saw him at the presser today, Shevchenko just looked like she had all the size on her.
Yeah, and she usually does, but I mean, I don't know. Like I'm excited for this Rose Namajunas fight. That's what we have for Shevchenko. Like, she's gonna win. Yeah. You know, parlay her if you want to, whatever. But she's gonna fight. She's probably gonna fight safe. I'm going off finish just because her last one was a decision. But I wouldn't be surprised at Shevchenko by decision either. Yeah. So the next one though, the co-main, Zhang.
This is the fight I'm most excited about.
Zhang Magnum Weili minus 190 against Thug Rose Namajunas. Comes in at plus 160. The records on them, Rose is 9-4, not the most impressive record. She didn't start off very well. And Weili is 21-1. So I mean, that is like a champion's record. Rose Namajunas is getting this fight off of a split decision win against Jessica Andrade. Jessica Andrade had already lost the belt to Weili. Then she lost to Rose Namajunas, so she moved up to go get an easy title shot against Shevchenko.
But she beat Rose before losing her on that crazy
because of the slam. Yeah.
That won her the belt at the time.
Correct. And then she went and fought like an idiot against Weili and lost it right away. So I just, in this one, I mean, Rose, the 9-4 record, like, good thing that we've seen her fight, and you know that we know how she fights, because that 9-4 record is very, very deceiving.
Those are early losses too.
Yeah,
Like
for
fight
sure.
on her head.
And the Andrade loss was one of them. You know what I mean? But yeah, they were early losses. Carla Esparza, Tisha Torres,
Wrestlers.
she came back and avenged that Tisha Torres win. Never fought Carla Esparza again, but I'm sure she would have whooped her ass. In this one, I just think Weili is gonna be moving forward the whole time and just more power.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that Rose is gonna like being touched. Like, I can't imagine Rose with that hematoma that Joanna had. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think that, like, Pat Barry would throw in the towel for damn sure. Weili is just way more aggressive. Rose might do well early, moving sideways and stuff, but I don't think that she'll keep it up for 5 rounds. It's going to be a long-ass fight, and she has tended, to slow down in the later rounds, Rose, because she does rely a lot on moving side to side and, picking and popping. Yeah. I think that Weili is just going to have too much power, and she's going to touch her up one too many times. Rose is tough, possibly Weili by decision or like late stoppage.
Yeah. The only way Rose can win here is by a decision. She's not going to knock her out. She doesn't have that kind of power.
She knocked out Joanna.
She doesn't have that power for Weili, though. Weili's a little bit stronger.
And it was a kick, right?
Yeah. So, and we've seen what happens when Rose gets, punched. That second Andrade fight, when they fought again, Rose was good the first 2 rounds, but then Andrade
she got touched. Yeah,
she was getting touched a lot more, and she got a little bit rocked, but not fully touched. Weili's going to put a lot more pressure and a lot harder. I hate to say this because I'm a big Thug Rose fan, but give me Weili, give me Magnum in this one, and I think she finishes her.
Magnum.
That's her nickname.
I know, but who gave her that fucking nickname? Like, come on, fam. You could have given her something better.
What would you give her?
I mean, I don't know on the spot, but Magnum. Like,
if you're gonna criticize, you got to know on the spot the fix for it.
Yeah. Well, I guess you're right, but Magnum ain't it. I don't know, but let's get to the main event. The main event, a rematch.
Are these the biggest odds of the night right here?
Well, Shevchenko's minus 400 as well. But Kamaru, the Nigerian Nightmare Usman, minus 400 against George Gamebred Masvidal, plus 310. Now, Justin, last time these guys fought, we know that Gilbert Burns had to pull out. So in jumps Masvidal on a week's notice to save the day. And, got dominated for a 30-26 unanimous, but played the card on, I stepped up, I saved the show, I deserve a full training camp. Do you think it goes differently? Does he have a point to the fight? I mean, Masvidal was training for Usman because Usman was a champ the whole time. Usman was the one training for Burns, which is a different fighter than Masvidal.
Super different stylistically.
So the whole short notice thing, I think it goes both ways. I mean, Kamaru Usman wasn't training to fight a stand-up guy. He was training to fight Gilbert Burns. Mm-hmm. Do you think that this fight plays out differently? Do you think that the odds are way too high for the fighters involved in the fight?
Yeah, I think this fight does play out differently.
Okay.
And it goes 50-45 this time.
A la madre.
Usman. What has Masvidal done? Because he hasn't fought anybody since. That's going to show us that he's any different this time.
And
he was 3-3 in his last 6. He's a journeyman.
And his wins prior to that were Nate Diaz, Ben Askren, and Darren Till.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Darren Till, who had to get out of that division, cutting weight was too much for him at that point.
Right, and we saw the flying knee against Askren, and with the Diaz when the doctor stopped it. But I mean, he was in control. The problem is, can he keep it out of the clinch and can he keep it standing? I do think that he can land on Usman, But if he can keep the distance, one thing I will say is Usman coming in off a knockout win to Burns. Does Usman get comfortable and maybe try his luck, with the stand-up? Or
For what? That dude's calculated and he loves being the champion.
I agree.
He's a problem. And I'm tired of not giving the man his roses. I'm giving him his roses. The disrespect I've brought to Usman.
You come around late to all these guys, just.
Well, they prove me he's wrong as many times as Usman has. I'm a fan now.
The right way. Usman has done it the right way the whole time. And like you said, you feel pretty safe picking him because of his fight IQ and the fact that he just wants to be the champ. And he's good. We saw him foot stomp him 100 times to keep the belt and win a decision. He did say that he took this fight again because he wants to finish him. He didn't like the whole narrative of, rubbing feet and whatever it may be. I just hope that he takes him to the ground and finishes him, because I think that if he tries himself, in the range standing up, Gilbert Burns did touch Usman and hurt him. Although Usman recovered quickly and then finished Burns, standing up. I just hope that he doesn't get comfortable and want to stand with Masvidal. The fight's in Masvidal's backyard. The crowd is definitely going to be behind Masvidal.
We're super behind him at the presser.
Yeah, and if Usman's going to have Masvidal up against the cage and working the clinch like he should because he's the bigger guy, the fans might play a factor into maybe the referee separating them because the only thing happening is foot stomps, or maybe just Usman caves into the. Like we said, we don't think that he will because he goes in there to get the job done, no matter how it may be. But the fans are back for the first time. And it is in the challenger's backyard. I don't know, man. I mean, anything can happen, but I think
really not going on your board right now?
No, I'm picking Usman. But I do think that the odds are way too high.
Okay.
I do think that because
here's the other thing that we're not asking. Is he observing Ramadan right now?
Who?
Usman.
I don't even know if he practices that, so I can't tell you.
Well, he's come out as his religion is Islam. But is he practicing Ramadan right now? Because if he is, that adds another element.
I still expect him to be the bigger guy, whether he's practicing it or not. But I don't know, to be honest. I haven't heard much about it. I would have thought that maybe he would have said it in the presser, unless he's just saving it for after. We know that Usman has at times, given the 30%, or he was telling Masvidal that he came in with the broken nose to that fight. So I don't know if he's keeping it in the tuck just in case the performance ain't A1, or if maybe he's just not practicing it. I can't tell you. But the one thing I can tell you is that I expect him to win the fight. I just hope. I don't want it to be like the last one. Like I know that I say that I don't want him, trying to trade with George, but he did say he wants to finish Masvidal, and he has gotten his boxing a lot better. We saw him, fighting behind the jab against Gilbert Burns, and ever since he went and started working with Trevor Whitman, Usman has evolved while Masvidal hasn't stayed active. We haven't seen anything from him. So I think that Usman just keeps getting better, and I think that his reign is going to be he's going to have a pretty long championship reign because, Leon Edwards ain't going to be the guy to do it. And the other thing is Dana White already did say Colby Covington is next. He said Masvidal earned it because he stepped in on short notice, but Colby Covington is next.
Yeah. And that's the fight I think I want to see even more because.
And that was the most competitive one.
So close.
Oh, we've seen his striking get better since that fight, bro. That was before Usman was with Whitman.
Yeah, let's see if Colby's has gotten better because we haven't seen much of him afterwards. He just put it on Woodley, and I think that's it for him as well.
He did move gyms as well. Colby's at the new gym. He's no longer at American Top Team. So, yeah, I think that once we start talking about that fight again, I think that we're going to have a lot closer odds. Maybe Usman like minus 180, maybe 2-1. But in this one, I do see one-way traffic just because Usman is smart. He's calculated. Yeah, I see all the champs retaining their belts, man. As
I
boring,
want to finish. I want to
as
finish.
boring
here,
as that sounds.
yeah, I want to finish here though. That's what I want.
A finish?
I want Usman to take him to the ground and finish him.
Usman said that's why he took the fight. He took the fight because he wants to finish him.
But today he said he took the fight because he's ready to lap everybody, beat him again.
Yeah,
he chose this guy first. So
right, and then Colby would get the rematch, and it would be lapping him, and so on and so forth. But neither guy has been finished in their UFC career, Justin. Yeah. And Masvidal has plenty of fights in the UFC, never been finished. So,
but he's been finished in other promotions.
Other promotions, but never in the UFC. Yeah. And Usman has also been finished. You know, his one loss was a finish, but not in the UFC either. That
was like his second fight,
right?
Or maybe first at that point.
Right. Yeah. So Usman by decision might be the best way to go, but I am hoping to see a finish just because Usman would make a statement if he finished Masvidal, man. It would a Masvidal laying on his back with the referee stopping it, I think has the same effect as, you know, a Conor fight getting stopped at this point.
But okay, let's do this because this is a podcast, and for podcast sake, let's fantasy book it the other way. Masvidal wins. What's next for him?
Diaz, probably, or they might give him Colby because there's a lot of beef there. But you got to think Usman has an automatic rematch because he gave him the rematch.
Well, they talked about that today, Dana, and he said, you know, with these long-standing champions, you know, people always wonder, do they always get the automatic rematch? And he says historically they don't.
Historically they do.
But according to Dana, he said no.
Dana talks out of his. You can't believe shit Dana says. The truth is, though, if Dana likes the champ, they get it. If he doesn't like the champ, they don't.
That's the real truth.
But I mean, he didn't even like DC, and DC. I mean, he didn't even like Stipe, and Stipe got it. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Enough.
So,
we're gonna be in for I think a pretty good card.
Where are you watching the fight?
I'll be watching at the house. But the last thing I'd ask you about this card: three championship fights. There's a lot of hype behind this because of Masvidal as well. In the pantheon of great fights or great cards, where does this stand?
Not that high.
That's what I say.
Yeah, not that high. Give me that fight in Houston, that card in Houston next month for sure. Over this.
Better than this card. Yeah.
Yeah, give me 3 rounds of Tony and Dariush. Give me 3 rounds of who's the co-main on that?
5 rounds of Leon
or Leon and Diaz. 5 rounds of that, and then Chandler and Olivera. Yeah, give me that.
Me too, man. I agree.
So yeah, man. I'm
watching the fight.
My mom and my aunt are coming up this weekend, so we're gonna head to my uncle's in Buda. We're gonna barbecue over there Saturday.
Yeah. Any fight fans out there, or is it just you?
Buda or Buda? Buda. Gabby always gets upset at the way that I say it.
Hey, you gotta say it right. If Gabby's mad, you can't have that. Happy wife, happy life, buddy.
That is true. That is true. But yeah, man, that's it. What, episode 41?
Episode 41's in the wraps, in the books. Next week, you're going to shotgun a beer when Roland's on.
And what, next Thursday, isn't it draft night?
Draft night. We'll have more talk about NBA.
We should go live.
Bring a friend in for draft night.
Or live.
Yeah, live's good too. We did last year's live. Had a good little turnout in the comments.
For sure, we should do live.
And this year, with our new software, we could have them on the chat. They don't have to be in the comments this time.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah, we'll do something.
We'll definitely go live next week for the draft.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, good podcast. Y'all know where to find us. Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, anywhere that there's podcasts, anywhere social media, Instagram, we're there. Look for us. We'll be posting. We appreciate y'all.
For sure. Deuces.
I'm supposed to be the franchise player, and we're in here talking about practice. I mean, listen, we talking about practice. Not a game, not a game, not a game. We talking about practice. Not a game, not a game.
Me. Bam, bam. Get me, man.
Not a game.
Slap that like she scored 30.
We talking about sports. I mean, what we even talking about, man? We talking about sports here.